So good evening all of you. कल के जो नोट्स है उसमें एक करेक्शन करो, जो सेक्शन 8 सब सेक्शन 3 है ना, वो है सब सेक्शन 4. रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ पीपल एक्ट में एक जगह लिखाया था ना सेक्शन 8, ये है सेक्शन 8 पॉलिटिकल डेमोक्रेसी था ना जहाँ पे. ठीक है, फिर मैंने केस लिखाया था लिली थॉमस, तो उसका ईयर लिख लो, कल नहीं मुझे याद था. 2013 पॉलिटिकल डेमोक्रेसी जहाँ पे लिखा था, पॉलिटिकल डेमोक्रेसी जहाँ पर प्रिएम्बल्स के आइडियल्स थे ना. लिली थॉमस केस ही था ना, तो लिली थॉमस केस का ईयर 2013. कल वो सडनली आया, दैट्स व्हाई आई डिडंट रिमेम्बर. ठीक है, आपको एक कंफ्यूजन? हाँ कोई बात नहीं, लास्ट में जो कहते हैं वही. ये करेक्शन कर लिया. अच्छा, और वो ब्रुकिंग्स की रिपोर्ट थी, तो अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट नाइजीरिया फर्स्ट, इंडिया सेकंड एंड कॉन्गो थर्ड. तो हाँ, वो लार्जेस्ट नंबर ऑफ पुअर्स, तो वो ब्रुकिंग्स रिपोर्ट में था, तो लिखा है ना. तो लार्जेस्ट नंबर ऑफ पुअर्स मतलब फर्स्ट नाइजीरिया, सेकेंड इंडिया, थर्ड कॉन्गो. अच्छा, यू हैव रेड द स्पीच, यू मेड नोट्स. अम्बेडकर ब्रुकिंग्स एक रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूशन है, ब्रुकिंग्स का रिपोर्ट है. ठीक है, नाउ यू रेड अम्बेडकर्स स्पीच, तो वन बाय वन टेल मी द की पॉइंट्स इन दैट पर्टिकुलर स्पीच. ओके, तो what was the occasion of the speech in the Constituent Assembly? कब किया था? 25 नवंबर 1950. 25 नवंबर 1949, तो वन डे बिफोर. अच्छा, एक तो डेट था वो 25 नवंबर 1949. हाँ? तो क्या क्या आइडिया किसको मिला? वन बाय वन. तो अकॉर्डिंग टू यू कॉन्स्टिट्यूशंस whether they will work or not will depend on the people and the political parties they will set up. Don't, I'll ask you, tell. तुमने पढ़ा क्या और पॉइंट मिला? Okay, limit to the gratefulness of people means limit to the charisma, hero worship targeted against Gandhi. Yes, these are unconstitutional, of course. सत्याग्रह है, ये सब तो डायरेक्ट एक्शन है, and these are not constitutional. Constitutional methods क्या है? Through law which moderates were doing. और क्या है इसमें? Linkage between liberty, equality and are related. How and why? Huh? So liberty without equality. Equality एक तरीके का social economic justice हो गया और liberty political democracy हो गया. तो compatibility between political democracy and social democracy leading to fraternity. और क्या points? हाँ? वो तो हो गया charisma. हाँ? हाँ, in India we are entering into life of contradiction. Political equality but social and economic inequalities. Anything else? Okay, so one thing bad. Now that opportunity is not there, we cannot blame British. It will be our own fault. What else?
Political democracy can be held without social depend on the nature of the constitution.
Just a minute. तुम्हारा है political democracy
Cannot be held without social and economic.
social and economic. अच्छा. You? तुम कुछ जल्दी में बोल गए.
The working of the constitution is not depend wholly on the nature of the constitution.
Working of the constitution depends on the people. Okay.
Compared with the same with the parliament.
Buddhist songs with the parliament. Okay. Deliberative democracy.
Document it should be the document of the living and not the document of the dead. So he says कि the binding should be for yourself and not for the coming generations.
Good. So constitution should be always a living document and should be amended as and when required. Yeah. Casteism is anti-national. How casteism is anti-national? Because casteism is against fraternity. Or fraternity is the idea on which nation is based.
Creed above nation and the independence. Creeds above nation and independence.
Creed above nation.
Above nation and independence.
Acha, greed of people above nation. So if you will think yourself or your interest above national interest can kill the independence. So anything else? Word of contradictions between political democracy and यही मेन थीम है उसका. Constitutionalism, constitutional morality. Constitutional morality was also given in this speech? No. चलो. तो अभी आज तुम लोग पढ़ोगे एक स्पीच. कौन सी स्पीच पढ़ोगे? पढ़ो पुतिन्स स्पीच. Vladimir Putin's speech. Putin's speech at नाम भूल गए. कौन सी सिक्योरिटी डायलॉग होता है? अच्छा, पुतिन से बड़े आप मोदी स्पीच पढ़ो. मोदीज स्पीच एट शांग्रीला डायलॉग. ठीक है. सो एक पढ़ो, दोनों पढ़ो, ये तो बहुत छोटा सा ही है. पुतिन्स स्पीच एट म्यूनिक सिक्योरिटी Conference 2007. ये दोनों स्पीच, इसमें क्या क्या खास बात है कल बताना, ठीक है. So we are yet to, I told you about Indian secularism, some features. No complete separation, it is called as principled distance, this much. Now, which provisions of the constitution deal with secularism, right? Which provisions of the constitution deal with secularism? तो बेसिकली फंडामेंटल राइट्स, ठीक है. तो बेसिकली फंडामेंटल राइट्स, all fundamental rights, for example, Article 14 deals with secularism, Article 15, 16, 17, okay. Then which other articles, wherever there is written like minorities, religious freedom, तो fundamental rights में मेन आइडिया है बिसाइड्स इलेक्शंस, जिसमें वी हैव एबॉलिश्ड सेपरेट कम्युनल इलेक्टोरेट एंड हैव इंट्रोड्यूस्ड द जॉइंट इलेक्टोरेट. नाउ ऑन इंडियन सेक्युलरिज्म, एनीथिंग दैट यू फाइंड इज कंफ्यूजिंग और यू हैव अ क्लैरिटी ऑन इंडियन सेक्युलरिज्म? Right, one more thing, right? Indian secularism is also called as positive secularism. So, principled distance and positive secularism. So, positive secularism means based on the idea of positive liberty, right? Based on the idea of positive liberty. तो positive liberty क्या होता है? Freedom not just in the absence of state, but it can be also in the presence of the state. So when a state intervenes in the religion, it does not mean that it is anti-secular. ठीक है? So we look at the positive relation between religion and state. So can the teaching of religious scriptures permissible? Will it contradict the secular nature of Indian state? Suppose Gita is taught, will it contradict? No, because our secularism is positive secularism, not negative secularism. Is this clear? So positive secularism means a state can use religion in the positive sense. So it doesn't make any difference if even in the government schools Gita is being taught. So there is no complete separation. That is based on whose ideas? Gandhi's idea of secularism. So now this part, yeah. कौन? What is pseudo secularism? अच्छा, ये तुमने लिखा पॉजिटिव सेक्युलरिज्म, इसका मतलब लिख लो, राइट? राइट, एज पर सुप्रीम कोर्ट, as per Supreme Court, write the name of the case Aruna Roy, ARUNA, Aruna Roy case, comma, right, it will not impact the secular nature of Indian state if religious books are taught in schools, including government schools. अब यहाँ पर लिखो राइट, अकॉर्डिंग टू सुप्रीम कोर्ट Indian secularism is a bridge comma that ensures coexistence among the followers of different religions. Among the followers of different religions. So I think now he asked what is pseudo secular. Likho, what is pseudo secular? Right, the term pseudo secular is used by Hindu rightist groups, comma, right, primarily associated with Lal Krishna Advani, LK Advani. Right, he called Indian model, so yeah, he called the model found in the constitution as pseudo secular on following grounds. Pseudo secular on following grounds. ठीक है, तो मेन है राइट, फर्स्ट एब्सेंस ऑफ यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड, absence of uniform civil code. Second, right, special rights for minorities. ठीक है, यही दो मेन रहे. अब लिखो why he calls it, या what is the reason. What is the reason? Right, the above concept of secularism is based on the Western / European concept of secularism. For example, in France, ठीक है, right, in these countries uniform civil code exists. Next, right, no special rights. ये बेसिकली वेस्टर्न मॉडल को सेक्युलरिज्म का आइडियल मॉडल ये लोग मानते हैं. इनका नेशनलिज्म का कॉन्सेप्ट भी कहाँ पर बेस्ड है, यूरोपियन कॉन्सेप्ट पे. तो इनके हिसाब से दैट स्टेट इज नॉट सेक्युलर which makes differences among citizens on the ground of religion. And for India to become a secular state, uniform civil code is required. Okay, so the question is Indian model pseudo secular? The model found in Indian constitution, you will call it pseudo secular? No. Then what will you say? It is a sui generis model. ठीक है, राइट, तुम क्या लिखोगे, राइट, नोट करके लिखो. इन राइट, इट इज रॉन्ग टू कॉल Indian model as pseudo-secular, it is sui generis, SUIGENERIS, sui generis, means it evolved in a specific situations. Okay? और हमारा जो मेन आइडिया क्या है सेक्युलरिज्म का, इज एक्चुअली मल्टीकल्चरलिज्म. ठीक है, तो लिखो व्हाट इज द मेन थीम, व्हाट इज द थीम ऑफ इंडियन सेक्युलरिज्म. मेन थीम ऑफ इंडियन सेक्युलरिज्म, राइट, इंस्टेड ऑफ universal citizenship, it is based on multicultural citizenship. Multicultural citizenship. यूनिवर्सल सिटीजनशिप मतलब व्हेन ऑल सिटीजन्स हैव सेम राइट्स. मल्टीकल्चरल सिटीजनशिप मतलब अकॉर्डिंग टू द डिफरेंट रिलीजन्स एंड कस्टम्स यू हैव गिवन दोज राइट्स. तो अपना हिस्टोरिकल कंडीशन से डिटरमाइंड होता है. एंड इंस्टेड ऑफ, जैसे यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड क्यों नहीं है, वी बिलीव इन दिस आइडिया. एंड इंस्टेड ऑफ सेपरेशन, the idea is positive secularism and spirit of toleration. And there was no need, just like there was no need for us to follow Western model of federalism, similarly no need to follow the Western model of secularism.
Then why Goa accepted uniform civil code?
Goa, that tradition has been there since the time of Portuguese. So it is already there and nobody demanded any change, so it is continuing. Is this clear? If uniform civil code, no problem. If it does not exist, then also no problem.
Then it is useful for everyone now to have a uniform civil code.
Why uniform? Uniform civil code does not make a country secular. Secularism means what? Why do you need a country to be secular? So that the persons who are in minority, they should not suffer because they are in minority. तो ultimate idea of, अगर all people belonging to one religion है, तो even if state is not secular, how does that matter? State is secular is required when people belonging to different religion coexist. And especially who will suffer from insecurity? Minority. So idea of secularism is to protect the religious minorities from the persecution by majority. And obviously when democracy will be there, the state will be majoritarian. Majority will have a say, minority will not have a say. तो जब सेक्युलरिज्म का आइडिया ही प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ माइनॉरिटीज है, तो अपना मॉडल तो और बेटर मॉडल है ना, रादर देन द यूरोपियन मॉडल. That too I will discuss. This you have understood. So yesterday I gave you one question, 2-3 questions. One was this one: discuss the values which are integral to secularism. इस क्वेश्चन को पहले करो. या कंट्रोवर्सी ट्रिपल तलाक पे नहीं है, कंट्रोवर्सी ट्रिपल तलाक बिल पे, और कंट्रोवर्सी बनाई गई है यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड पे. वो तो आई विल डिस्कस अभी। पहले ये क्वेश्चन का आंसर बताओ। डिस्कस द वैल्यूज विच आर इंटीग्रल टू सेक्युलरिज्म। वैल्यूज विच आर इंटीग्रल टू सेक्युलरिज्म, ये क्वेश्चन दिया था मैंने। इंडियन, अच्छा, डिस्कस द वैल्यूज विच आर इंटीग्रल टू इंडियन सेक्युलरिज्म, ये लिख लोगे। कैसे स्टार्ट करेंगे? फर्स्ट लाइन यू जस्ट टेल। Okay. वैसे let us leave the introduction. You tell what are the values which are integral to Indian secularism. Human dignity. One is human dignity. Second is toleration. Third is multiculturalism. Fourth, protection of minorities. भी वो किससे related है? Human dignity पे। तो जैसे what are the values which are integral to Indian secularism, तो इसमें first point what you can write? Indian secularism is often considered as an ambiguous concept. Ambiguous, lack of clarity, ambiguous concept. हाँ भी बता दें, ambiguous concept मतलब introduction थोड़ा लिख सकते हैं। Next, right, at times criticized as pseudo secular, because it is not modeled exactly on Western European. ठीक है। Next, right, every country has its unique circumstances. Every country has its unique circumstances. And so can possess its own model. Next, Indian model incorporates some of the Western features like first, universal adult franchise, equality before law, religious neutrality, ब्रैकेट में लिख सकते हो आर्टिकल 15 क्लॉज 1, ठीक है, रिलीजियस न्यूट्रलिटी, ठीक है। नेक्स्ट, हाउएवर देयर आर सम इंडिजिनस फीचर्स right, special rights of minorities, next, positive secularism where where there is no complete separation, next, principled distance and not just इक्विडिस्टेंस। ठीक है, अब नेक्स्ट लिखो द वैल्यूज इंटीग्रल टू इंडियन सेक्युलरिज्म आर फर्स्ट, respect for human dignity, pluralism, communal harmony, toleration, and multiculturalism. मल्टीकल्चरलिज्म। ठीक है, तो मेन वैल्यू तो ह्यूमन डिग्निटी है विच इज देयर। ठीक है, तो थोड़ा सा जीएस में फैक्चुअल और स्पेसिफिक और ऑब्जेक्टिवली लिखो आंसर। ठीक है, प्रैक्टिकली लिखो आंसर, ऑब्जेक्टिवली। अब अगर ये क्वेश्चन आता है, our constitution does not acquire the secular character merely from the words in the preamble but from the collective reading of many of its provisions। ये क्वेश्चन कल बताया था, इसका आंसर कैसे, मतलब इसका थीम क्या है? लिसन, तुम्हारे में लिखा होगा ये क्वेश्चन, our constitution does not acquire its secular character merely from the words in the preamble but from the collective reading of the many provisions। अगर ये क्वेश्चन लिखा जाएगा तो इसका कॉन्टेक्स्ट क्या होगा? हाँ, 42nd अमेंडमेंट नहीं, बेसिकली द डिबेट, और देयर हैज बीन सम डिमांड्स और डिबेट टू रिमूव द वर्ड सेक्युलरिज्म as it is redundant. Okay, so still whether 42nd amendment introduced or not, it will not make any difference। ये वाला जो डिबेट है यही इसका मेन थीम है। तो our constitution does not acquire its secular character from the words preamble। तो इसमें क्या क्या लिखोगे? फर्स्ट पॉइंट, हाँ है तो आर्टिकल 14। अरे तो कहीं तो है इक्वालिटी बिफोर लॉ। आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन डज नॉट एक्वायर, तो इसमें फर्स्ट लिखो द मॉडल ऑफ इंडियन सेक्युलरिज्म has always remained a debated and controversial issue। ठीक है, debated and controversial issue। Second point, original constitution did not have the term secular in the preamble, right? It was added by 42nd Amendment Act, which was passed when emergency was in operation and opposition was behind bars। ठीक है, right, behind bars। Next, that time criticized as politically motivated, that time criticized as politically motivated because even when the term secular was not inscribed, the Constitution has been secular in nature. Secular in nature. Next, right, the best place to locate secularism, secular features is part 3, comma, various set of rights, various set of fundamental rights. ठीक, right, next, once again there has been a controversy because because in the present government comma, the copy of a constitution was put by a particular ministry right, which didn't inscribe the term secular, claiming it as a original copy. Didn't mention the term secular. ठीक है, claiming it as the original copy of the Constitution. Right, certain sections defended the action, on the ground that it does not make any difference right. However, in case it was a willful omission by the government, willful omission by neglect है तो ठीक है, omission by the government, comma, it can be in willful commission, right, it cannot be considered as desirable, comma, though it does not make any difference yet it will lead to unnecessary uncertainty in the minds of minorities. Okay, right, when the term is explicitly mentioned comma, it makes our commitment towards secularism more explicit. ठीक है, तो in case it is removed, it will do more harm than the benefit. Is this clear? अच्छा, तुम लोगों ने टेस्ट में पॉलिटी वाले क्वेश्चंस के आंसर ही नहीं लिखे मैक्सिमम लोगों ने? हाँ, ज्योग्राफी के आंसर्स लिख दिए सारे। पॉलिटी में क्या मुश्किल लगा था? टाइम नहीं था? ओके ओके, मुझे लगा कि वो तो एक्स वैक्स से इतने आसान क्वेश्चंस थे, डायरेक्ट थे। अच्छा, फर्स्ट सेकंड के बाद टाइम। ओके, मुझे लगा कि समझ नहीं आया क्या हुआ वाला क्वेश्चन। ठीक है, और कोई वर्क थे क्वेश्चन? तो रेस्ट, चलो नाउ let us see the debate on uniform civil code. लिखो debate on uniform civil code. यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड, इस पर तो ऐसे भी आ सकता है। तो द बेसिक थिंग, should India have uniform civil code or not? This is the basic question we should discuss. Right? Should we go for uniform civil code or not? You think uniform civil code is needed? And we should go for uniform civil code. Okay? For and against. Anybody against also? You are against? Huh? Common civil code. अच्छा.
India believes in unity and diversity. So we
Unity.
should address our diversity with unity. So in order to address it, we need to address all the cultures with open arms rather than closing our arms for those cultures. So
Okay.
it is a more peaceful way to deal with all
अच्छा. चलो anyway, तो यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड. नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज, व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड, व्हाई डू वी नीड यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड? हाउ इट विल हेल्प? दिस डिबेट revolves around what questions? Whenever somebody says uniform civil code, the debate is on what? क्यों चाहिए यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड? क्या होने वाला है उससे? हाँ, इक्वल लॉ, जैसे अगर यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड की डिबेट होती है तो उसमें इश्यूज क्या रहते हैं? किसकी इक्वालिटी? माइनॉरिटी. तो यू वांट टू बी इक्वल विद माइनॉरिटी. तुम्हारे लिए एक सचर कमेटी बैठाए अब. यू वांट दैट? जेंडर इक्वालिटी. ओके. माइनॉरिटी की वैसी हालत खराब है, अपनी भी वहां पे पहुंचाना है तुम्हें. तो एक डिबेट है जेंडर इक्वालिटी. सेकेंड इज सेक्युलरिज्म. जिसमें बीजेपी वाले लोग समझते हैं ये नहीं है तो इंडिया सेक्युलर नहीं है. और थर्ड का कोई खास लिंक नहीं है, लेकिन लोग अटैच कर देते हैं, नेशनलिज्म और नेशनल यूनिटी. तो इफ यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड कम्स, देन देयर विल बी greater national unity. You think it has anything to do with national unity? ये भी नहीं. Uniform civil code comes, it will make us more secular or less secular? Less secular. Because secular तो क्या है, एक debatable concept है. कोई एक बीजेपी मॉडल है, एक कांग्रेस मॉडल है, ठीक है। तो कांग्रेस वालों के लिए लेस सेक्युलर, बीजेपी वालों के लिए मोर सेक्युलर। लेकिन डिबेट में जो सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट कंसर्न है वो है जेंडर इक्वालिटी, ठीक है। सो दीज आर द 3 basic issues, but this is the core issue for which uniform civil code is demanded by even the women organizations. Now, what is a uniform civil code? Uniform civil code means one law or all sections of the citizens are governed by the single law. That will be a uniform civil code. Now, what is our situation in India? Situation in India is for all category of citizens, there is a common criminal, common civil. Only what is not common? Personal law. And we have allowed different communities to live according to their customs and traditions. अब दूसरी problematic बात क्या है? Personal law, customs and traditions. They are also the part of freedom to practice religion. Practice religion. ये क्या चीज़ है? ये है fundamental right, enforceable, and its enforcement is itself a fundamental right. दूसरा क्या है? Uniform Civil Code is a directive principle, ठीक है। तो directive principle is not enforceable, nevertheless fundamental in the governance. Now, what does Article 42 says? If you see the language of Article 44, it says that a state shall endeavor. Endeavor means a state will take special efforts to create the conditions for the introduction of uniform civil code, ठीक है। State. So this particular issue, uniform civil code as an issue, it was discussed. It is not a new issue. It was discussed even in the Constituent Assembly. Okay. So in the Constituent Assembly, many women leaders like Hansa Mehta, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, they wanted the introduction of uniform civil code. Even leaders like Nehru and Ambedkar. Ambedkar even presented Hindu Code Bill. So they were also in favor of uniform civil code. But from both the sides, or you can say from the, like, there was a opposition from the certain sections of Hindus. For example, Sardar Patel and Dr. Rajendra Prasad. They were the two main persons who didn't support the idea of a state interfering in Hindu customs and traditions. Similarly, they were members in among the Muslim community also who did not support the uniform civil code and ultimately the matter remained, neither it was completely rejected nor it was introduced, but left it on the directives. Why left it on the directive means it is to be imposed or it can be introduced somewhere in future, because at the time of formation of the constitution, the environment that was prevailing in the subcontinent was not conducive. So first of all, it was the responsibility of Indian state to work so that the trust develops among the different communities in India. That was the first condition. But unfortunately, the post-independence politics was not very different from the politics which was happening in the British time. We continued with the divide and rule, use of religion and caste, and this thing kept on becoming more and more severe. From 1990s we see the communalization trend has grown more. The distrust has grown more rather than reducing. So constitutional directive is there, but you have to understand the constitutional directive properly. What was also written, it was not just introduction of uniform civil code, but a state to create such conditions. Unfortunately, this has not happened. Okay, so even if you are trying to introduce uniform civil code now, this government has to create the conditions which are conducive. Is this clear? नहीं है ना. आर्टिकल 25 सेक्युलरिज्म है, 27, 28 ये सब सेक्युलरिज्म है. यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड का सेक्युलरिज्म से संबंध था नहीं. यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड की डिबेट का नेशनलिज्म से भी कोई संबंध नहीं था. यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड हमेशा जेंडर जस्टिस से रिलेटेड इशू है. उसको एप्रोप्रिएट किया हिंदू राइटिस्ट ग्रुप्स ने. किस लिए एप्रोप्रिएट किया? क्रिटिसाइज करने के लिए कांग्रेस इज गोइंग फॉर पॉलिसी ऑफ अपीजमेंट. Otherwise, it has no relation either with nationalism or with secularism. उससे कोई रिलेशन ही नहीं है उसका. और कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली में जो डिबेट था वो भी किसके लिए था? जेंडर जस्टिस के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में था. नाउ इफ यू सी द सिचुएशन ऑफ पर्सनल लॉज ड्यूरिंग द टाइम ऑफ ब्रिटिश. So Britishers had codified the personal laws of Christians and Parsis. They tried to make an attempt for codification of the personal laws of Hindus and Muslims. And there was an opposition by Hindus at that time that how come a alien government who does not know Hindu customs and traditions is going to amend the Hindu or is going to go for codification of law. Have you understood this? So if the government is alien, doesn't know my customs and tradition, and as a Hindu I don't accept that, same argument will lie that the government in independent India is represented, majority is Hindus in parliament. What percentage of the representation minorities have in the parliament? Okay, so just like that time, we as a Hindu not accepting British efforts, how do you accept that the Muslims, when they are not represented, not even in proportion of their population, will be accepting Hindus